The champions are freezing on the biggest stage. Incredible! Jordan takes the lead. Argentina carves them open with brilliant passing. What a strike for the equaliser. Belgium is relentless on the attack now. Precision finish, they are doubling their lead.
Here we go. Both match stories in English. No headings, pure fire.
Fire.
The night Argentina reminded the world that their legacy never dies. This was not just a football match. This was a statement, a declaration, a roar from a nation that bleeds blue and white. June 27th, 2026, when Argentina walked onto that pitch against Jordan, millions of hearts across Latin America stopped beating for a moment. Because wearing the Argentine shirt is not just about playing football. It is about carrying the dreams of a continent, the weight of history, and the fire of a people who live and breathe this game like no one else on earth. Jordan came into this match with something to prove. Everyone had written them off. Everyone had already handed Argentina the 3 points before the referee even blew his whistle. But that is the beautiful trap of football. The moment you assume, the game punishes you. Jordan's players pressed high, organized themselves with discipline, and in the early stages of the match they made Argentina genuinely uncomfortable. The Argentine fans in the stadium shifted nervously in their seats. Something was not going according to plan. Then came the moment nobody predicted. Jordan scored. 1-0. The stadium fell into a stunned silence for a few seconds. That strange, heavy quiet that only happens when something unexpected cuts through the noise. But Argentina did not panic. That is the difference between a great team and a good one. Great teams do not crumble under pressure. They rise into it like they were born there. What followed was a masterclass. Argentina flipped a switch and suddenly everything changed. Their movement sharper, their passing crisper, their hunger visible in every single touch. They equalized, then went ahead, then scored again. 3 goals, 3 moments of pure quality, 3 reminders that Argentina are built differently. The Jordan goal became a footnote, a brief plot twist in a story that was always going to end one way. Jordan walked off that pitch with their heads high, and they deserved every round of applause they received. They came to this World Cup not as tourists but as fighters. They made Argentina sweat. They scored on the biggest stage in football, and for a brief, electric moment, they made the world wonder. That is not nothing. That is everything. That is why we watch the sport, because on any given night, under any given set of floodlights, the impossible feels possible, and the underdog has a heartbeat just as loud as the favorite. Argentina moved on, carrying their tradition with them, carrying the ghost of every great player who wore that shirt before them, carrying the roar of a nation that never stops believing. But Jordan left behind something too, a goal, a memory, and the proof that football always has room for one more beautiful surprise. The evening Belgium turned the pitch into their own personal stage and New Zealand into an unwilling audience. This was a 5-goal statement written in sweat and skill, a performance that left no room for argument. June 27th, 2026, the Red Devils arrived with fire in their eyes and a point to make, and by the time the final whistle blew, everyone in that stadium knew exactly what Belgium were capable of. New Zealand had traveled thousands of miles from home to be here, and there was something quietly admirable about that alone. They carried no fear on their faces when they walked out, just the calm, determined look of players who had prepared, who had worked, and who believed that on this day anything was possible. Their coach had told them to play without hesitation, to enjoy the moment, to leave everything on the pitch. And for stretches of this match, they did exactly that. Belgium, though, were operating on a different frequency entirely. From the opening minutes, their movement was sharp, their combinations fluid, their intensity suffocating. They pressed like a unit, they attacked like a pack, and New Zealand found themselves chasing shadows more often than the ball. The first goal came, then the second, and the score began to reflect the gulf in class that had been visible from the very first minute. Then New Zealand did something remarkable. They scored 2-1, and suddenly the entire atmosphere in the stadium shifted. The New Zealand supporters erupted. Pure joy, raw and unfiltered, the kind that only comes when you are the underdog and you have just landed a punch on the giant. For a few glorious minutes, it felt like this match might take a dramatic turn, like the script was being rewritten in real time. Belgium steadied themselves, looked at each other, and made a collective decision: enough. What followed was clinical. 3 more goals. Belgium dismantled New Zealand with a ruthlessness that top teams reserve for moments when they feel challenged. 5 goals, 1 statement. Belgium had arrived at this World Cup, and they were not here to be polite about it. Every goal was different. Every attacking move came from a different angle. Every player contributed to a performance that was as complete as it was devastating. New Zealand's goalkeeper had given everything. You could see it in his body language after the 5th goal went in. Not defeat, but the honest exhaustion of a man who had fought with everything he had against a wave that was simply too big to hold back. That is not failure. That is football. Sometimes the tide comes in, and there is nothing you can do but stand firm for as long as your legs will carry you. When the final whistle blew, Belgium celebrated with the quiet confidence of a team that knows the real tournament has not even started yet. 5 goals against New Zealand was impressive, but the matches that truly define a World Cup campaign were still ahead. They knew it. Their eyes were already looking forward, already locked on the next challenge, already preparing for the harder nights that were coming. New Zealand left the pitch to applause, and they deserved it. Their goal in that match was not just a statistic, it was a symbol. It said we were here, we competed, we refused to be invisible, and on one perfect moment we beat the best goalkeeper in that stadium. In a tournament full of giants, that is how smaller nations write their own kind of glory. Not always in wins, but always in moments. And New Zealand had their moment. Bright, brief, and absolutely unforgettable.